Do you want what is possibly the best wireless battery for a headset ever made ever in the history of ever? Well, this Kaira is actually probably literally that. Good afternoon, morning, and welcome to Turbo Tortoise Tech. If you're new here, I'm Reese of the 4-piece variety or Wooks Triple XL. And as I've alluded to, this Razer Kaira is pretty impressive, where it's very impressive. And it's a 2,000 Rand multi-platform headset. It's got the right connections, Type-C charging and that sort of stuff. It's got Bluetooth and 2.4 gigahertz with its own little USB Type-C dongle, which is something that I quite like a lot. And the execution of this is not new to me. I've had other headsets which are PlayStation bound or are PlayStation focused, which also work on PC and mobile before, but this is one of the better examples thereof. But before we get too carried away, let me start off with the headset and the package contents. So in the package, you will get a headset. You also get a 2.4 gigahertz dongle, a tiny little dude with a really nice Razer embossed on it, so you know exactly which one it is. Always a nice touch to have. Unique design though, with it sort of coming out the side like that, right? I think it's more PlayStation focused. My mate does a PS5, but with the heat of load shedding, there was no opportunity to go and test it. But that then runs off the Type-C, right? And then there's an adapter cable. It's not just an adapter, it's actually a short little cable, which I think was the best way to do this. I would have made it maybe a little bit longer, actually, just for the PC people, so that you can have it on your desk. Not that it's going to affect the wireless performance. Let me tell you, that's not going to be an issue. How far you are from this dongle is not going to be the issue. A bit of foreshadowing over there. And then you get a USB Type-C charging cable, which is nicely finished and quite long. And it's got Razer embossed on it once again. It's braided, so it's probably not going to go anywhere for a considerable amount of time. And then obviously green inside, which is always nice. I love that they put colors inside of the USB Type-A's to their branding, which I really like. I think this maybe should have been blue though, like the headset Razer, maybe, no? And then lastly, you obviously have the headset itself, which has, as you might notice, quite a fair amount of cushioning. And I'm very glad that they went for this felt effect over the polyurethane pleathery effect, because those tend to peel over time and they can start sweating on your head. So for the African heat, this is going to be quite comfortable and perfect. And speaking of comfort and setup, it's full tilt on the side. The front side tilt is only about 10 degrees that it goes forward like that. So if you do have a balloon shaped head, which is very possible and perfectly normal, you're perfectly fine just the way you are, trust that you can still tilt forward somewhat, but they've made as opening tilt sort of headset design like that. The ear cups and stuff are very comfortable. They are very cushiony, which is good because this is a bit of a head clamping force. On my big noggin, it did feel quite tight, but not so bad that I wanted them off within a few minutes. I did sit and play and test with these for a couple of hours. I'd say about 5. I'd average it to about 5 is what I sat and used them for on my head at least, without running them just for battery testing and stuff. And they were very comfortable for that time. I did start to get some fatigue, but nothing on ear. It was just the side of my head was a little bit tense, almost like I'd been clenching my teeth too much sort of effect. But beyond that, they were perfectly comfortable. But big heads beware. If you can't wear caps like me, then this is probably going to be pretty tight on the noggin. Nicely done, Razer across the top over here as well, embossed and emblazed into it, so you know exactly who the manufacturer is, in case the giant blue Razer logos on each side weren't enough to tell you. I'm very glad this doesn't have RGB in it. I saw the Pro does, which is just going to kill your battery life just for something that you literally can't see. It's on the side of your head. Why do you need RGB there? That one really hurts me. It's not like your keyboard where you might be looking at it in the darkness and you need backlighting. What? But moving along swiftly, let's have a look at the left ear cup. You've got the built-in microphone over here. You've got the Type-C underneath that for your charging. You've got the power button next to that. You've got your main volume under that. It is a free scroll as well, so just watch out for blowing eardrums. You might want to check what your volume is on before you put the headset back on. And then you've got a physical tactile switch for the mic mute button, which I really do like to have, because it's tactile. You don't need to be able to see it. You can just feel it based on the position and get used to that pretty quickly. Then you've got on the other side another volume scroll, and that's for your chat balance, or your chat versus your game, which is sort of a norm now for console headsets, and obviously really nice to have because you don't have to go into your settings. You can just do it on the ear cup. Then above that, you've got the 2.4 gigahertz and the Bluetooth button, which puts it into the pairing mode for Bluetooth or switches it on to the 2.4 gigahertz channel, or selects between some preset equalizers or a custom one, which you can do on an app. That's what they're doing with this headset, is they're doing a phone app, because obviously in PS you can't download software. So they've done an app, which is the central point. It would have been nice maybe to include this in the Razer Synapse software, but with what's available on the phone, I don't think you really need it. The equalizer as well, I have to say, is very active on the headset and really does affect the performance of the audio, which is a segue into the performance of the audio. So my experience with this headset from first putting them on was that the mids and the upper end are at the correct sort of sound in the soundstage and stuff like that. They were just a little bit muffled compared to the overwhelming bass. These are very Sony headphone sort of tone. Put them on, it's just ridiculous amounts of bass. Funnily enough, changing it into the amplifier mode was where I got the best audio reproduction, and that really made the best sort of soundstage and etc. that I could get out of them. I did try use the equalizer, but I couldn't tune them quite as well as that amplifier mode. I feel like that should have been the default mode on this headset, because it does make everything louder, but if you reduce the volume, then everything sort of plateaus more evenly. They are still a bit mid-range heavy, so your say 2 kilohertz, or I would even say 1,000 kilohertz to like 4,000 kilohertz is very mic'd up, and if you put them in the FPS mode, that becomes even more extreme. And that's generally where snaps of guns and footsteps and stuff reside, is in that, I'd say 500 hertz to like 4 kilohertz. It's going to be the mainstay for your gaming audio. Things like flashbang pops and that sort of stuff are all kind of in that sort of range as well. So definitely set up for a gaming environment, but that doesn't mean that they're actually not good for media. So I'm going to go back to that amplifier mode that sort of flattened it out and made the media reproduction like way nicer. I will say, however, the bass is like having two 12-inch subwoofers strapped to your head. So if you are into that, then these would be a good option for that without losing some quality and clarity. And the really nice thing about the tuning of the bass and stuff in the headsets is when it's not present in the song, it doesn't over mic up those and create bass from thin air and warbles and distort the audio. But if it's a bassy song, if you're into some hip hop or some funk or stuff like that, you are going to get bass like off of your seat. It's yeah, the butt dino on the bass for this was extreme. Now we get to really the parting piece for this particular headset though, which is its battery, charging, and its wireless, which are, I'm not even capping. I did a timed charge on this and it went up 33% in 15 minutes. It charged a third of its total battery in 15 minutes from a 5 volt 2 amp source, 5 amp jeepers, from a 5 volt 2 amp source, a controlled source. I used the cell phone charger that I know can only output 2 amps. So it's not, 5 amp or 10 amp if I'm using a certain port on my PC. I wanted to make sure of that to see the charging rate for it. And in usage, I averaged it to about 2% an hour. So their claims of 30 hours of battery life is like the biggest underclaim I've ever seen on a package ever, because I rate it would get you closer to 45, 50 hours worth of constant usage at a decent volume. I think they may have been quoting it at 100% volume, which is a bit deafening from these. They are very, very good at being very, very loud. So if you do want to deafen yourself as well, you can do that for about 45 hours. This is what I would rate it at. It was absolutely incredible. And that charge rate as well is just astronomically good. And then the wireless function, this is double of anything else I've ever tested in this, at least at this premises. What I do is I connect everything up to the PC on the 2.4 gigahertz channel, because Bluetooth we know is line of sight about 5-10 meters. It was pretty comfortable inside the house, but the 2.4, I know it's got some range on it. Once again, this is probably the biggest understatement on a package for the wireless range. From my PC here, I literally walked like into the garden, down the way, over There's my room next to this, there's the whole other house next to it, and then the garden is on the back end. That's when it lost signal. It was like 20 meters through walls. How? What witchcraft is this that it can do that? It's just inexplicably good. This little dongle and whatever's in this 300-gram headset can go 20 meters through walls. That was astronomically mind-blowing for me. Most of the time, I can't even get into my bathroom because as soon as 2.4 gigahertz channel or any sort of wireless signal hits a surface, it shatters. It goes outward like that in a cone and makes its connections like that from point to point. So obviously when it's going up or down inside of the wall space, it's going to ricochet like that. It's literally what happens to the signal. It just didn't degrade. It just went so far. I walked around the whole house. I walked to the back corner of the, never done that before it just starved itself. And then I literally had to go into the garden and almost around the other side of the house in order for it to get the damn signal to drop. It's ridiculously impressive. If you just want to charge your headset once a week, use it 4 or 5 hours a day, and then literally be able to walk next door to your neighbor to ask for a cup of sugar while still chatting to the lads and lasses online, you will be able to do that with this headset. It's absolutely mental. The mic is very average. Sorry, I haven't really touched on that. The mic it's a normal chat headset microphone. It's not going to start your SingStar career. Definitely not for that. It's a normal inline microphone. It's acceptable. It doesn't destroy the ear. A little bit low on the volume on PC. I did find it a little bit difficult because there's no boost or anything available in the recording area in Windows. So there's no way for me to boost that further. But overall, this is an incredibly good product for 2,000 Rand. And for me, it was going to be average. I was going to be like, yeah, it's a 7 out of 10, it's an 8 out of 10. Until then, yeah, I used the battery and the wireless, and then it just sort of blew my mind at how far these go. So Razer, if you're watching and you want to help us out with the big head people, please can you just make the same thing, but with like less clamping force? Just make it like a little bit less clampy, and then it's going to be like literally perfect. And then I would probably get one as a spare, because it's very difficult to replace Sennheiser 4,000 Rand headset that's not wireless, that's light, and etc. It's near impossible to replace it. But when I go LANing, which hopefully will be more often with once load shedding has gone away, then these would be absolutely perfect. And if I was going to my mate's house to play on his PS5, then I could just plug these in and then disconnect them from there and have them on my phone, all seamless and stuff. And oh, you can also answer calls as well. If you've got it connected to the PS, you can have it connected to your phone and you can take calls and stuff while you're in game, which is also pretty sick. Nice little touch on that. But the multi-platform functions, everything works well. The Bluetooth all works fine. Like, it's good. It's good. For the money, it's very good. And if you just want exceptional range, like you want to be able to walk around while still talking to people, etc. online, and you are just against charging your headset ever, then you could probably use these for like 2 weeks. If you're a casual and you're doing 3-4 hours a day, literally you'll get 2 weeks out of these. It's kind of mind-blowing. Anywho, that's all I have for you on the Razer Kaira Wireless. If you have enjoyed it, please do hit us up with a like and subscribe, and I will see you on the flip side.